I'm so happy to be back with Skye. Hi, Skye.
Hey, how are you?
I am great. And look at you with tan. Australia is having summer, and in
Yes.
Kyoto, we just had first snow. We've been having a rather warm winter here in Kyoto. And so
Oh,
this is
yeah.
our first podcast of 2026. Oh,
It is. It is. Hey, everybody, I'm happy to be doing this. We've almost been doing this a year, I think,
almost. Yeah, that's true. I'm so
because I
excited.
remember,
Yeah,
yeah, it
I'm
was like this time of the year where I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to just keep doing podcasts and all of that. So I know that it's coming up soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation, Sky. I do remember how excited I was last year. Yeah, and today's topic is the annual modern wisdom of annual review. And we have quite three questions that we wanted to cover. So this is something that I was inspired from Diary of CEO interview for Chris Williams. I think is another pod, super popular podcaster. And I thought that this was really an excellent way to start our podcast for 2026. So three questions are, what would so like I think this time of the year everyone is doing like a vision board or goal setting of 2026, what we want to do, what we want to achieve. And three questions that Chris, the interviewee, shared was really smart. So first one is, what would have had to sorry what would have had to happen by the end of the next year. Let me paste it so that it's easier for everyone in the chat. So what would have had to happen by the end of next year for me to look back on the year and consider it a success? So first one, right? Before we go for this year or the end of next year, I wanted to ask you. So back to Sky in 2025, right? What would you say? Because before we do this for this year, I wanted to do review for the next last year. Do you
Sure.
call 2025 as success?
Absolutely. Like, absolutely. Like, even with the ups and downs, like,
Yes.
I think everyone needs to also understand that when we share, and this is everybody, right? We share through a lens. And my lens is, and I'm only just facing this now, is I missed most of my life, if not all your teens, your 20s, your 30s, and I started life at my 40s. So if I am up, happy, well, pain free, even with ups and downs, I'm moving forward, and that is all I ask. All I ask is I learn lessons and I move forward, and everyone is going to have a different lens. Like, some people might be like, I needed to have this or I needed to get there, but as long as I'm going, I'm winning. I am like, woohoo! What about you, Kiko?
I knew you would have said that, and I love it. I would definitely give you 1,000 points to Sky. You have done an amazing job 2025, and I'm
Oh,
so happy to be part of your life. Celebrating your life. It was such a beautiful journey with you. And definitely, we both went through some ups and downs, and it was one of the most challenging year of my life. But it was definitely a success,
oh, is that so? You count 2025 as a success?
a huge success for me too. Yeah,
Oh, love that.
and yeah. So honestly, I think if I can repeat it just like last year, but keeping in mind of being mindful and being more present and, just have fun in every moment, that would be the greatest success. That's my answer for that. How about you?
I love that. So no, I wouldn't change a thing as long as this year I'm moving forward. And I guess we're getting into the question you asked, but also when you were talking about like, thank you for being part of my journey, all that flashed back to me was all those nights where it was late for us and you're doing back to back from the cafe into a party and we're laughing, we're having raw food. And sometimes I don't even know whether we're mindful of what we're saying, and then we turn off the camera and have like a whole crazy conversation. And like, you don't have to be in the same room to have your spirit lifted, to have a bestie, to like have the time of your life, right?
Yeah, true, true, true. Oh, hi, Rocky. Thank you so much for your always such a lovely comment. Doing keto forever, just until you're better.
Do you want to answer these now or do we want to keep going with the way we're
Yes, they
going?
keep on going. Yes. Okay,
Okay.
so the second question I had was, let's see, who do I need to become for next year's chapter of my life story to turn out the way I would write it? Okay, let
Okay.
me. Yeah, please
So
go
with
ahead.
that, is all Skye has to do is her best. Every day, all I ask of her, I can't predict. And if I try and predict, I think it feeds into a lot of the trauma that's probably back there of missing an entire, decades, right? So I think my brain is quite beyond happy if Skye can get up. If it's a bad day, you just do what you can. If it's a good day, you've probably filled it back to back with things that are your passion. But I never take away that a lot of the lessons I teach come from those down days. I may not be mindful of it at the time because I'm just trying to get through, but all in all, Skye just has to do her best. That's all I ask of her every day. And that keeps me. That's just, yeah. That's what I love is to just see life like that. What about you?
Mhm. Interesting. Can you actually explain more in detail on this? Like, so like basically you want to keep on going in 2025. I mean, you have been doing an amazing job, right? I mean, your life is nothing but a miracle. And
Yeah.
I really admire you, not just for achievements, right? Because you could not get up before, and I mean, you have such an intense life, and now you're like blossoming with this beautiful like a beautiful powerful flower with beautiful aroma. And this is how I see
Oh,
it. It's like bright flower just blossoming and just sharing the beauty to the world. And I agree with you, you just keep on going. But is there anything else that you want to be mindful this year, that based on what you have been doing, like you have been doing even like you have been doing so much to yourself and to the world, and even stretching, you have pushed yourself, right, to get to where you are.
so I don't know. This is why the lens of where I see myself is so important for people. How someone survives missing like 30 years is incomprehensible. And what I notice is anytime I say, let's say I want to hit 25,000 on YouTube, I want to do 4 more podcasts this year, or whatever it is, if I don't reach that, I think it hooks straight back into trauma in my brain. I'm assuming this is what happens. So I can't go there. So all I can do every day is my best with where I'm at. I do believe 10, 15 years this may change, but we really have to think, and this isn't just for me because everyone has a lens, but I think when you hear how I do things and people are always quite surprised, don't you have more downs or get sad or depressed? No. And I think I'm locked out from, if I start setting goals and I didn't reach it, my brain goes, you miss this, you miss this. And that comes back always, you're always like, you're so happy, Skye. How, you see your face when there's negative words and you turn. that negativity can just go. I think there's a whole package there. And how, because you have to remember, is when people go through massive, massive traumas, how they come out of that is really if they can function again. If not, you stay in the trauma. And a huge thing for me is, and it may just be that I was so unwell that anytime, it's really also a huge thing for me is anytime I'm not in chronic pain, I'm fine. I could be, I
Mhm.
don't know where I've been in, psych units, I've been homeless, I've been all sorts of things. But if I'm in pain, if I'm not in pain, I'm okay. So
Mm.
that's a, it's like my whole psyche. When you've screamed in pain for for 15 years, once I had the hysterectomy, that changed into something else. But that screaming in pain for years, I think anytime I'm not, you can just have
Mhm.
me on a bed for days and I would be happy. So, and I think that mindset is I've dug myself out of where I was with that. And maybe over time I'll be able to set goals. But at this time is long as I'm up, pain free and happy, I'm like good.
I absolutely love this guy. That's, I feel the same. And you are already an high achiever, Sky. You do so much already. You've got the routine. You go running, you go swimming, you do Pilates, and you do a lot of podcasts. So you already have this, high achieving routine set up. So, I feel like you already have a good base, right? And I agree with you that, just show up and take day by day. And I feel like that's the best way to enjoy. And, everyone has their own way of enjoying their journey, I think. And some
Mm.
people are more excited to have their goal. But I think a lot of people, right? I think in first, is it like after second week of January, most people fail with their goals that they set up for the year, and like,
So I was that person most
oh,
of my life. I'm just like everybody else. This year I will get up, this year I'll walk around the block, whatever it was,
mm,
more so when I was sick. When I healed myself, and I say this so often, I had to be really real about my weaknesses are. We place,
interesting.
we place too much dopamine on goals. So if your whole dopamine hinges on reaching 25,000 or achieving 4 more podcasts this year, you not only feel bad, but you lock in to all of the bad memories. And without knowing, you're all of a sudden going, and this person didn't show up, and then that happened. And so all I have to do in life is don't worry about, this is what I learned. And I was so real on myself because I realized like this all started with putting raw food in made me feel good. If you feel good, you get good. Good in, good out. I don't worry
Mm-hmm.
about the achievement goalposts. I worry about what
Yeah.
you said. You made a really good point is all I have to do is show up for the running, show
Mm-hmm.
up for myself on my podcast that I've already got running, set up the same lights. You don't even have to worry about buying the best light. Don't worry. Just rinse and repeat. Good and good comes. So don't go journaling, Skye, about all your negative. All you're doing
Mm-hmm.
is putting your brain in that headspace. You just show up every day for good and watch the good. And so far, Kiko, it hasn't let me down.
That's great. That's beautiful. You know, I
Yeah.
I feel when I do coaching, I always ask, we set the goal. We do set the goal, and every time everyone want to set up something. Their goal setting is way too high, and I
Yeah.
always tell them. I always bring them down to like 10% or even like 5% of their goal, because what you need to do is, I mean, you can't jump from here to here. You have to have a stairs, right? Little stairs to go up, and
Yes.
it's so important. Like, um, if you fell off from the little first step, it's not a big deal. But if you fell off from the big cliff, it's a huge deal. And I always tell them that, you have to set yourself to success. Meaning, if you want to go for a run for half an hour, if that's your goal, and go for a marathon, right? You have to start with putting the running shoes on the first day, and that's it, nothing else, right?
Yeah, and it took, like, even me running, it took me a year and a half until I could run, but never for most of that year and a half where I was able to walk. And it falls back to gratitude. Did I ever think about running? All I had to do is think about walking. We cause ourselves so much anxiety from goals. It's like saying to a
Mm.
famous singer, when you wrote this Grammy award winning song, did you write it to reach the goal of winning a Grammy? No, they just show up with their heart, write the song. Of course, you hear many of them say, when I first heard it, I realized this could be a Grammy. But when the heart
Mm.
place came, none of this stuff, all of this creativity that actually makes a difference on this planet does not come because we set a goal. I mean, it
Mm.
forces some people, but you've got to be careful hinging your dopamine on the future. I'm more about getting the dopamine each day, and I don't worry. Sometimes, when I've been having harder times, I've just gone, Kiko, can we move this podcast to another day? Does that make me a bad person? No, I wish I could do it, but it's I keep saying, Skye, that's the best you can do right now. You do all a person can do. And if all you're hinged on is your goal, I
Mm.
don't know, Kiko, what it's like for extremely successful, analytically brain driven people, but I feel like a lot of people who do raw foods are in their heart center. The reason they've come there is their soul's awakening and finding their true path.
Mm.
And there is, I know, very highly successful people whose brain is constantly driven each day by ticking off goals. But are they really doing much different? Their daily routine is not changing. It's just getting them closer towards the goalpost, which their brain is very happy sitting in because they keep achieving. When people have been chronically ill, they have not achieved in a very long time. And I
Mm.
think you have to be careful. And they've been let down. This year I'll get well. This
Yeah.
doctor, I'm going to this exit. And this
Mm.
goes on for years. So I knew this was a weakness of mine because I never got anywhere. I knew once the first step was, well, I knew nature was good. But when I put the raw food in, I stopped worrying about the future and realized if I perfected every moment, the future would
Mm.
just unravel naturally.
That's so interesting. I would have never. Everyone has our own journey, and that's interesting to hear that you had that moment. Even Sky, right?
Yeah. And that's what Koala Mama's saying is, and how I knew, I'm glad you have evidence of this, how I knew trauma journaling wasn't for me is, and Kiko, you say this, as soon as negative words start coming across this podcast or I start talking, that my whole face and body, she goes, I see it, right? That, if I sit in that, I get up from that, and you watch the view of the world becomes trauma. Now, I
Mm.
can't say, obviously, it's like this for Koala. I can't say this is for everybody, but
Mm.
and some people might want to live this life, process, or I don't know, diving for the soul into this. But I've been through so much trauma, and most
Mm.
people who've been chronically ill have. Man, I don't want to. When I found raw food, I wasn't going back. I've been in that space, so I'm like, what can lift me up? And all the things I do each day raise my vibration. I don't.
Mm.
Everybody's different. Like I love my green juice. I love podcasts. I love Pilates or running. I love raw foods. I love my friends. And so, if any of that family, if I don't do any of that for a period, my vibe does drop. It's like tapping in to what can I do every day to not, it's not an addictive thing because I
Mm.
know that that doesn't work. You can actually go backwards. And when I choose to take something on in my life, because I'm so high vibe, it sits, almost plugs itself into a space and floats there. And it's
Mhm.
almost like I can feel it there. And I'm like, okay, I can now verbalize this because this already is there. And I do feel like it's because of a lot of that. I just feel, feel. I love to feel things out.
Mhm. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's go to the third question. This is the third and the last question of the Modern Wisdom Annual Review. So, knowing that I know now, what advice would I give to myself 12 months ago?
You're doing everything right. That's all I could say is there's nothing, I don't want to change a single thing. I just would love to say at the end of the year, once
Mm.
again, everything at that time had to unfold. And like, even if you think about why I'm able to help other people, is I just post where I'm at, the down, the ups, and people have more belief, not because I get there and say it. They see it.
Mm.
And I don't want to change that because I've learned, the world learns, and I just want to say that, you're doing, you've got it right. You're doing it. Just keep doing, being you. Just rinse and repeat. You've got this.
Oh, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That was a message to you, and I do believe that was a message to the world as again. And I do believe that I think everyone is beautiful just the way they are right now.
Yes.
And I just want
Yes.
everyone to enjoy, I think it's everyone, a lot of people feel that we're not enough. We're not there yet. We're just kind of missing,
That's
yeah, every moment. It's like we are the youngest going forward, right? This is the moment that we might say, oh, I have aged, but we're not getting any younger. This is the youngest moment of our life now, so why not enjoy it?
100%. But you said it right. Is what I learn about myself is the goals I set deter me from enjoying the moment I'm living. It only matters that I'm out in nature running. It only matters that today is fun at Pilates. It only matters that we're having a laugh on a podcast. If I start doing podcasting because I want to grow my channel, or I want to, it's something that isn't in the moment. And all we all want to do is live in the moment. As you said, we are the youngest we will ever be going forward right now. Yet a lot of us just complain about that. And then when you get to 70 or 80, you'll be like, damn, why did I think I was old at 40? Like, but you can't go back. And I think the more you get the brain learning to just keep coming to the moment, and I promise you, from what I've learned in the past almost 5 years raw or changing my life, is the more you do good, and this isn't self-serving good where you're like, well, I think pizza's good. Well, do you think it's good when you crash out the next day? You got it through the whole system or the same process. If you run too far and hurt yourself, you've got to then address like that whole process isn't good. I never overexert myself. It's all about fun, high vibe, and the more I rinse and repeat this with whatever I choose to do, the more life just gifts me things which I don't really care about as much as I thought I would, because they're not hinged as goals. Like reaching 10,000 on YouTube was very emotional for me, but it doesn't really change the fact that like I was never aiming for that as much. Like I guess I was in the back of my head because you want that, but I being really serious, it comes from the reason I can finally reach goals in my life is because I am high vibing the choices in the moment. Instead of any time in my life I set goals, I never reach them. And I don't like to hinge
Oh.
any as an ADHD. Yeah, never. And a lot of it has to do with chronic illness. Is I can exceed extremely well in, I played state water. This is when there was 4 years as a teen that I did well. State
Mm.
water polo, rep netball, always lost it because I got sick. I
Mm.
lost everything. So you have to remember, and it's not just me, most people doing this have had this happen most of their life. So I guess that also contributes to why I really never hinge dopamine forward. It's all
Interesting.
about now.
Interesting. For me, I've been doing goal setting, and I do achieve most of them. But now I'm just realizing, okay, achieving goals are amazing. Having like a journey where I am going, and walking towards that goal, it is amazing. But you know, when you achieve the goal, you're excited. It's like, for example, like publishing a book last year was definitely my goal, and it is amazing, and I'm still working on it in different forms. But that achieving goal itself is a very short joy, right? But the journey. Mhm.
That okay, I want to say it's preface something. So when I was really sick, it would be beyond belief to go to New York. Okay, like my dad had an office there, mum traveled over there, my sister went there, I saw my friends go there, I heard about it, all the movies I watched were New York. I had a lot of Apple products while I was sick. That was all I really had. I had two computers and iPad. It was how it was out, could communicate with the world. So a lot of thought and dreams of going to New York. But once I got well, it's out in the universe somewhere, right? So that is out there. And when I got well, it never was like, this year I'm going to do it. This year I'm going to do it. This year I'm going to do it. It just came about. It just,
Mm.
what I noticed, especially if you guys are high raw or raw foodies or look after yourself or sit in love or gratitude, is the things that are meant for you will just come. And this is the only time in my life I'm not setting goals, and I seem to be getting my dreams. Like your
Mm.
dreams, why not dream and just let it off and then live in the
Mm.
moment? So when I was in New York, because I forgot how unbelievable it would be. So every moment was not, I'm here. It was like, oh my God, the Apple store. I forgot this is one of the big. I was blown. I was like, I've got chills again now because I'm not hinged on got to get to Apple store, got to do it, take a photo. It was nothing like, I was like, holy crap, I'm here. And then also you walk into the park and I'm like, SVU, Special Victims Unit. I used to watch it when I was sick, Law and Order. And I'm like, this is where it was filmed all those years. And I'm standing here. Like all of those things came to me, and they're not in that analytical brain where I've got to tick it off. And then, because if you tick one off, what do you think your brain does? Now I've got to get to San Francisco, and you're not there. So your brain's saying,
Mm.
really, you're not good enough until you're there. And then this is how I think I was seeing goals. So I set dreams, set them off, and then just, I don't worry about how I'm getting. And I think that's how manifestation works. You're not
Mm.
supposed to worry about how you get there because it's almost like resistance. And I think it's either a Buddhist proverb or some sort of Chinese proverb where the pendulum, and you're not supposed to keep pushing at something you want because it'll just swing back and kind of like knock you off your feet. If you pull away, it draws into you. And so what
Mm.
I do is dream, and you can journal your dreams, but close it and live your happiness in the moment. Another example of this is where when I got because I've been homeless and disconnected from my family, when I reconnected with my family, I was so grateful. I thought I was the luckiest person alive. And then when I got my first home, I treasured it. All the donated things, folded up my little bag because I was doing well, right? It was never like, this is my life. I was like, I loved it. And all of a sudden, I got in a position very quickly without even thinking about it where I could buy my own place. It wasn't even in a conscious. Mum and dad said, you have the funds here to mortgage for the same price. You're now working, you can back that up. And I wasn't even dreaming of it. And they like, we want you to do this for yourself. So you've got something always, like it's yours. And so that was six months, I think, out of going raw, that I was working, and the same money would be spent. But I wanted one, but I never was planning it. And yeah, so I'm going on a lot about this, but my life runs that way.
Sorry, my husband just woke up. So, yeah, I love it. And I think, I love it because basically you're just trusting your life, right? And trusting your life and, let it happen. That's the best attitude, rather than just running, running, running to get to where you want to go. And while you are getting to that destination, you're just stressed and, I don't know, like really feeling bad about not getting there yet. And, I much prefer, at this point of my life, I much prefer the journey, to
Yes.
get to wherever the universe gives me, right? Because I do trust my life as well, that whatever supposed to happen should happen. And I was never like this before. I was like really a true go getter. Like, people knew that, like, I get what I want very quickly, and people notice it. Like, people say, like, Kiko, how do you do it that you get, you manifest so fast? But meantime, like, I am like really stressed out, like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. Oh, I missed this. And then, then I stress myself instead of enjoying the whole journey. And now I just want to step back and say, you know what? Life is perfect the way it's supposed to be. I can manifest whatever is supposed to happen.
So also, this doesn't mean you can just wish to be in New York and do nothing. Okay, how this kind of works for me is these things float through you. Oh, that sounds nice. That would be nice to do one day. And then you kind of think about it a bit and then it's off. But in the morning when I get up, I feel my way into what I do. So the reason I run and do Pilates is if I didn't, I don't feel, it's like a drop. And so I do it because it lifts me. And then if I came back and just sat in my room, I would drop. But what lifts me is not, I guess, working for somebody else anymore. That would drop me more. Is I lift because I coach and I podcast and I YouTube. I lift. So I just do all the lifters, things that lift me daily. And my dreams then unfold. If I tried to get to New York by working like whatever 60 hours a week in a job I didn't like, I don't know if any other empaths are like this or ADHDers. You could say I get sick extremely fast, but I would self-destruct or spend the money in drinking or excessive shopping, or I'd never actually reach the goal I was trying to get to. So what I do to reach my dreams is I just keep lifting myself with good deeds for myself and that make me feel good. And they also, to feel good for me, they have to feel good for the planet. And then my dreams just, they naturally, oh, Jillian's like, I'm going to New York and I've got the money and then we can, and it was like, yeah.
And this is interesting. Journaling is so Rocky Wright and friends said journaling is one of those things that I've always been on the fence on. I feel like it's kind of self-serving in a weird way. Plus, do you really want your journals left behind when you're gone? So that's interesting. Like I used to do journaling. I don't continue, but time to time I would do it. And I remember when I was a teenager, I used to journal, and my mom found my journal and she read it, and I was furious. I was so embarrassed and furious, and I have no idea what I wrote, right? But my mom, like, I mean, it was there. You didn't, you didn't put it in your room, so what do you expect? And she read it, and I was so mad. But then, you know, who cares? Like no one remembers all those details anyway. Like, you know, I'm like really shocked over and over, like what I have shared with passion. Like people don't remember. They're busy with their life. And if you want to do the journaling, I mean, whatever you want to do, just do it because people don't care.
Yes, this is true. But I'm thinking about what Rocky's saying here. So imagine you lived a life where you worked a job, you're very successful, but it wasn't something that, you just, I'm say just say you're a very successful business person and nobody really knows what you do, but you're a business person, but you do a whole lot of journals. And when you die, your family reads them. If you're trauma journaling, all you've left behind in your legacy is trauma. And you think people don't remember, they don't remember when you're alive. But when you're dead, if they have to hold on to, I never thought about it like that before. Um, but each person is on their own path. And I'm not to say, I just feel like I've learned that every day, the more I sit in, and of course, that doesn't mean my life is perfect, but how much easier it is to deal with things when they come up because there's so much bubble happiness around me. Like it's much easier to just, no matter what goes on in my life, it doesn't change that I do the bubbly happy stuff. Like I will still run, I will still eat raw food, I will still juice. And usually my set point just rises by itself without a whole lot of like problems instead of engulfing myself. I feel like most of my life when something negative came up, I made it my whole personality. And I do think raw food helps us stay more present to stop doing that. But also everything I do in my life, the grounding, the ocean swims, if everything you do makes you feel good, this is what I decided when I got myself well. If I can do everything that I think destroyed me, and this is why I take full responsibility for what I do. Medications have warning. Doctors are literally cutting into you. Not good outcomes come from doctors laying watching TV, trying to heal that way. That can't be positive. But what if, Skye, you've nailed all the negative? Just flip it. All you're going to pick is the positive. And if all the negative came from those choices, imagine If you can do so badly at one, you can just flip the switch. It cannot be as painful as what you're doing, and so far it's never been. It's very pleasant. So that's where that is: put good in, get good out. And so my good dreams come true.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And Rocky said, "You're both very wise people. This is not a good." So, yeah, so this is not a question, but what do you think about getting rid of the clutter? I have a hard time with it, as some is
With tossing?
sentimental, and also tossing things end up. So this is one of the thing I wanna. I'm not really sentimental, but I don't like throwing things away. And I shared this with you, Sky, that here in Japan, we have a custom at, by the end of year, you have to clean all the dust that all the dust that you have accumulated for the year, and you have to clean up for us to have a great new year. For me now, I what I do is, instead of accumulating for the whole entire year, I clean, on a daily basis when I see it. But I do a little more intensive cleanup by the end of the year. And I also noticed that I have a lot of things, not just because of me purchasing, but because my mom and my grandma passed away around the same time, and they had a lot of clothes. Especially my mom, her hobby was going shopping, and she had a really good taste, and she bought expensive stuff, so it's very difficult for me to throw away. But then I realized that I don't even we have the same size, so I can wear my mom's clothes, but most of the stuff, it's not my style. So what I have been doing, I don't know if Rocky, if this is the thing, but for me, because I don't like to throw away things, even, things that you can still continue to use. For clothes, I would use it for cleaning materials.
I like
So,
that.
to, to
I like
put you
it.
to perspective, I couldn't even throw away my grandma's underwear, you know,
Oh.
and now I'm using it to clean up the house, and I feel better. And yeah.
So I want to say, when I first healed and I got my first place and I had nothing, like, I mean nothing, just some donated things. I don't know where, if I had anything else, it was probably in storage. I had nothing. Do you know how beautiful that was? How much we think, and this is where my brain started to change. We think the happiest is the overconsumption. Like, my whole life, you think you got to achieve, gain, and actually, like, you just go out in nature, you couple pairs of shoes, couple pairs of shorts, your food. Your brain is not all like even when people tried to give me more, I would say, I'm so sorry, I don't want it, because you don't realize, but every time you walk past a new pot plant, your brain has to take in new information. And I think I worked this out, that I wanted to stay calm. On the back of that, I need desperately to clean my apartment. Why it never gets done is a twofold thing, and it's something I have to work on myself. So if I ever do well in life, I rinse and repeat my routine, because so many times the reason I rush back to what I'm doing and don't go back slowly is a learned behavior from when I was younger. Because as you've seen, I will get very, very sick very quickly. But if I'm well, I'll have batches throughout my life where I've done better, where I can do things. So I tend to have this tendency to do what I want to do. And that is, at the moment, live my life. The second thing is, any time in most of my life I've cleaned, it has been very triggering. So it a lot of my past, if I've got been able to clean, it's reminded me of hospital visits and sickness and bandages and all sorts of things. So I think that, it's like making my heart hurt, is sitting inside of me, that when I clean, I go back through my past. And I prefer to be present or moving towards the future. The final stage of this is, how do I feel about throwing things out? I will give away everything I can. And then when there's no place for it and it just has to go to the trash, it can't be recycled, I just know the universe is going to manifest it into, rebuild it into something else eventually. Everything eventually breaks down and will become something else. Who knows? It could become a castle in like 20 years, or I don't know, part of a wall, or I don't know, it'll become something. So I like to then just send it off. But I do try make bags to give away or take to like op shops where it can be sold. But if it is just something where it's just like half rotten, it can't be saved or something, I'm just like, you're meant to go out there now. The universe will turn you into something. So I gave you a lot of information there, but that's my take on cleaning. But I have been doing much better. I do have to book in like 2 days to just knuckle in here and whoosh.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, I nowadays I don't buy things because I know first of all I don't like shopping, and I it takes so much time. So accumulating things, like, just what you're saying, Sky, it just becomes our clutter. And the most important things in my life now is, well, one of the thing is the time. Time is so precious, and when I have more things, it just clutters my mind, and I can't get things done as easy. It's not as free. So that's why I decided to, even though um, I do give away, of course, and I sell on things like eBay here in Japan, but that also takes time. So sometimes I would just put everything in a bag, and I just bring it to like a shop that who can. I can't sell it, but they will just send it to someone who can use it. And that way I have a little more free space, and yeah, I can be a little more creative if my place is less cluttered. And actually, last few weeks ago, I hired someone, a professional, to organize my house for
Oh,
the
how
very
did that
first.
go?
Yeah, it was good. She didn't tell me anything new, but I just needed that push to help me, because I know certain things needs to be organized. Certain things were not necessary in my life, but I needed that a bit of a push. So that was really good. And
Good.
now I'm gonna hire someone to come every week to clean and help me, not just organize, but I'm in a good place where financially I can hire someone with once a week or so, and that just helps me to keep it organized and keep it clean. So that's
I,
my
I think what Carl has said is so true, is, and this is what I do as well, is when I was younger, I used to hold on to boxes of treasures and memories. And what I know now is, once again, that becomes just a clutter that you've surrounded yourself with, the physical things that you think matter. But actually, it's the memories that make you a different person that matter. That's what we're here for, right? And I guess also I've learned with nothing, I am quite happy and sustainable as well. But you talk, I have a cleaner who comes once a month. I wish it was every 2 weeks to just clean, because and that's just because I do so many videos, and there just gets food, and I spray things up the wall when I blend, and just it gets messy. And I would, as my mum says, she goes, you focus on what you're good at. I'm not a good cleaner. It's not I like to say I tried everything, but it's just something that, like, I get no joy whatsoever from. And she's like, you just keep doing your videos because you're good at that. And she goes, and just let somebody else come and help you once a month. But if I need to get rid of clutter, I've got my mum to just direct the ship. That's going, that's going, that's going, that's going. So she can just direct. There's no, and I need to just not go in, oh, I'll say that. No, it's got to go.
Yeah, it's easier with others. Like my husband has less stuff, and I just have a lot of stuff because my mom and my grandma,
Yeah.
who I have inherited it. But before I organize my stuff, I love going to my husband's room. This needs to go, that needs to go. And I'm like, you know, my husband is very gentle. He doesn't accuse me on anything, but I'm thinking like, oh, I should do this with mine, but it's just much easier with others. But I wanted to mention on Rocky's comment. I want to hire organizer, but in the U.S. it's expensive, and it was expensive for me to hire this lady. And to be honest, she didn't do anything special, and I've realized that. Uh,
We hope she's not watching.
sometimes it helps to hire someone expensive because that pushes like,
It
I
does.
think so much that I should do something about it. But I realized that there was a clean, there's an
Yeah.
app here, and I think there is also in the States as well. Or you can go to Craigslist, find someone that who can come and do it cheaply. Because I hired someone specialist, but I also realized that I can just hire a cleaner, which is much cheaper, and they list out on like certificates. Here in Japan, it's a culture of certificates. They like getting certified for. I got the organizer certificate, or I got the cleaning certificate, and this kind of shows what they're passionate about. So I would hire a cleaner who is specialized in like interior designing. I was like, wow, this is so great. Like they're much cheaper, and they love doing it as like a hobby.
Interesting. That is a good idea. I would have to say I'm with you is it's worth when you want to change your life paying for something, because it's if it's something you've got to do and you can't commit, you will do it. Like it's like the more you pay, I find the more I don't miss a split second. I'm like, I paid for myself. It's also like what I work for, right? Is to choose courses and options and things where I'm investing in myself. So I think they're very true. I don't think I would still do it. Here's the thing with the app, right? I would download the app, but probably not open it. So I know see, I'm so real with my weaknesses, and it's my best asset. Like when you get real with like the things that you don't do, you can see, well, like what is going to work. The only thing really that's going to work is I knuckle down or I get mum in to start just get that out. Not that she needs to clean, but I need someone to just go, no, don't. Because I sit there and I go, oh, I might use this, and it goes into another drawer that just piles up. And she go, will you really use it? What for? And I'll be like, right. I also get a bit depressed because I don't like feeling bad, right? We've established this. I always get a bit depressed looking at all the stuff that has to go. Not depressed because I'm losing it, but depressed because like I made that mess kind of way. Like
Mm.
as in I've got all this crap in the universe that I don't need. How did I get here? So I've got to face, there we go. I've got to face that part of myself. There's a whole lot of stuff here in the universe that I just, you know, it served its purpose, but it can be gifted to somebody else. Somebody else will be using my stuff. The
Hmm.
alien from Marvel's 3 or something that I won one time when I was at some arcade. I don't get many stuffed toys, but I know there's like an alien thing up there. When I used to do disability support work, I was doing some gaming thing, and I'm like, at the time I'm like, this is so cool, and now I'm like, why? What am I gonna do with you?
Yeah, I have those
You
games
play
as
with it.
well. But you still have enough various smaller apartments, so that's, I think, still manageable. I have a
Well, you
house.
think that till you start tripping over things and drawers don't shut and there's like cables and like it. Yeah, no, it actually, I'm glad we've had this conversation. But you know what I have been waiting for? It really does. There's a few factors I've mentioned, but it does come off the back of and it's been like this for a couple of years. If I'm going through ups and downs, hence the podcast, is if I'm going through an up, that time is so precious to me because I've missed so much of my life. I don't want to spend it cleaning. It really
Yeah.
comes down to be fair, that's the big thing. So once I stabilize and know I can clean and come back, I was almost in my past or even now, if some of my good time I wasted, I call it wasting, on cleaning and not living, I would be like, why did you do that?
Yeah. So, this comes back to our topic, the Modern Wisdom annual review. We if we get into the details, there are definitely, areas that we want to improve. But I think it's so important to just focus on ourselves, just enjoy the moment because we are the youngest of our life going forward. So let's just
Yeah.
enjoy the moment.
I think it's just so easy the way the construct of society is built to want more, to want a
Mhm.
goal, to want this. It's a lot harder to sit in self love and for the moment. So, what if we focused more on that? Just because I think we mostly default back to these massive ideals and these massive goals anyway. That's already sitting in the back of the head, right? If you can
Mm,
get rid of that or lower that, I feel like people need to just learn how to be, that I feel like I don't want to even improve on that. I feel like I do that as best as I can, just stay plodding along. But it's just like when I find it much easier to be like, you get the whole thing with goals is you get the house of your dreams, and very quickly you want more. And it's because you've conditioned yourself to live that way, to only get happiness from futuristic goals. You're not
mm,
actually happy in your house, or you get your dream car, but cars date very
mm,
quickly. Within 6 months, and so nobody's ever living present if they're constantly in their goals, you know. So
mm,
I almost think it's like worth people just thinking. And a lot of people, I loved this, and this might be a me thing, in the comments are like, this year I have no goals. This is a good thing. Like usually I'm like, I have to have this and have this. And that's the other thing is, are we asking for things like have, where we have everything? The present is
mm,
the gift. It is the
mm.
present.
Yeah.
So,
So I know you have to we have to
oh,
close
yes, I do.
this soon, but this has been so amazing, and I really
Yeah.
love that we both had this, no, just, whether we put the goals or not, just enjoy the moment. We just pat on our shoulder, is that how it's called, for what we have done already so far,
Yeah.
right?
I love that.
And
All I
I
care about is love. I think that's where what I do comes from. If I can always go back to love, I've never been steered wrong ever. Not even a little bit, of course.
Mhm.
Like I've just been steered more into me if I always choose love.
Definitely. And this is part of the thing in my life I truly enjoy, doing podcasts with Skye. And I
Yeah.
remember Skye saying that, I have an intention of doing this, till we are grandma. So,
Of course. Of course. Why
so
not? Just keep going with it.
yeah, we truly enjoy. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us and commenting. Oh, about the keto, I think,
Oh, sorry. Okay, so at this stage, it's once again, I don't focus on the future too much because when I do any cleanses, I never say I'm doing 90 days because then I seem to let myself down or whatever. So I just go with what's working. And right now it's really working. I know that you shouldn't do it long term, but people who have had extreme, especially psychiatric or neurological issues, do it long term because that's all that works, their body running off ketones. So all I can do is wait and see, and I just share as I go along. And there's a great video up on my channel showing everything I do if it helps anybody.
mm, yeah, I love it. Just focus on now and
That's
enjoy
right.
the moment. Yes. So this was lovely again. Thanks so much, Sky, for your sharing the wisdom and joy to the world. And thanks everyone for your beautiful message. And we'll see you next week again.
Bye.
Bye.